friends, neighbors, and citizens of Minnesota. It seemed like for the past few days, before all the videos were watched, before all the facts were seen, and before the investigation had even begun or been completed, people have been rushing to judgment. Tensions, emotions, and feelings are running high and should never be mixed with what needs to happen: a proper and a full investigation of the incident. Too many people are drawing conclusions without understanding the law or waiting for evidence to come out or for the investigation to be completed. In moments like this, leaders should be calming the tensions, not fueling them. And right now, leadership in Minnesota is failing. Let me say this clearly without hesitation. The death of Renee Good was tragic, heartbreaking, and should have never have happened. A mother of 3, a wife, a daughter, a member of this community. Our thoughts and prayers are with her children and her family as they endure this unimaginable loss. They deserve answers. They deserve honesty. They deserve transparency. And they deserve leadership that puts human life above politics. So I ask you for a moment of silence. Thank you. Now, before rushing to outrage or play the blame game, we must allow a full, fair, and transparent investigation to run its course. Yes, that means carefully collecting all the evidence before, during, and after the incident, and examining it without bias. Speculations helps no one. Justice requires facts. That's something we should all agree upon. Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about the law first, okay? In Minnesota, deadly force is only justified when someone reasonably believes they or others are in immediate danger of death or serious harm. And when no safer option exists, this standard applies for every person, civilian and peace officers and other agents alike. For law enforcement, that means officers should only use lethal force when it's truly necessary to protect life, and any decision must be based on what's reasonable to the officer at that moment. The courts and investigation would look at the evidence from the videos, collect the statements or any evidence, and submit it to the courts to determine if the agent should or should not have used deadly force in this situation. I'm not going to say anything about if this was preventable or not, and let the federal investigation do its job to determine what happened, and if this could or couldn't have been prevented, period. But that's not what I want to talk about. My question is, what got hundreds of thousands of protesters out on the streets? Could Renee's death could have been prevented long before the shooting took place that took her life? I personally believe it could have been prevented, and here's the reason how it could have been prevented: through leadership in the government. Now let's be clear about where leadership has failed Renee and the citizens of Minnesota. Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and Representative Omar failed this state along with others. Instead of calming the tensions, encouraging people to be patient and waiting for the investigation, or encouraged to protest peacefully at a safe distance, they used angry, reckless rhetoric that fueled outrage and encouraged confrontation. For example, get the F out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in the city is create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. Agents being in the city doesn't create unsafe environment for the citizens of Minnesota. It's approaching the agents while they are conducting business that creates unsafe situations. It's very simple. Agents doing their jobs, no risk to me. I approached the agents while they're conducting investigation, puts my life at risk, their life at risk, and possibly the suspect. He also publicly dismantled the federal account of shooting, calling it garbage and BS. Calling shooting garbage and BS is telling that the agent was in the wrong before investigation has even begun, and that sets a dangerous situation for both the agents in the field and the citizens of Minnesota. Governor Walz said the federal operation was totally predictable and that it created conditions where someone could be hurt. He warned Minnesota not to trust the federal narrative, calling it propaganda machine. When Governor Walz is telling citizens not to trust the federal agents and they are in the wrong, threatening the U.S. government of using National Guard, that is adding fuel to the fire when you should be using water to try and keep the citizens cool and collected by informing them to keep safe distance or to have documents on hand or passing laws to help keep citizens safe. For example, can only go after people with warrants for arrest and not do random checks because of discrimination, or to inform them to carry documents on them at all times. He didn't do that. Representative Omar called ICE actions unconstitutional and reprehensible, a phrase you often use, very predictable, and said that agencies' conduct led to the killing of civilians. She joined statements accusing federal leadership of inflaming tensions and said that policies create the conditions that led directly to this death. The thing is, she should have never blocked the agent's car in the first place, never have gotten in the way of the investigations or arrests that they were making. You should have told the citizens to keep a safe distance and not get in the way of the agents while you fight in the courts. Words from leaders do matter. When those words come from governor, the mayor, and members of Congress, people do listen and people do act. Their rhetoric helped create an environment where emotions run hot, tensions escalate, and people took to the street believing confrontation was justified. That kind of leadership doesn't protect lives, it puts them at risk. In this environment, Renee Good lost her life. No citizen should ever place themselves between an armed officer and the duties they are performing. This situation can escalate in seconds. Bystanders do not know the risks they could be involved, the history of the suspect they are trying to apprehend, or close a situation to, or how close it is to turn a situation to becoming deadly. When you, a citizen, interfere with law enforcement or agent, you put everyone at risk. The officer or the agent, the suspect, and the innocent bystanders. But protests must be done safely and in a responsible way. Stand back 30 feet. Do not block law enforcement or other agents, vehicles, or civilians that just happen to be passing through. Do not follow officers or other agents. Record from a safe distance of 30 feet or more. You do have the zoom option on your phone. You should never be close enough to touch a police officer or any agent without their consent. Challenging policies in court, in legislature, and in the ballot box, not on the street. By the time agents are on the scene, their mission has already been authorized. Nothing productive can change in that moment. Only the people can get hurt, or worse, lives be lost on both sides. Renee Good should be alive today. And while the investigation will determine legal course action, one truth is already clear. Failed leadership and inflammatory rhetoric have consequences. Minnesota deserves leaders with cool tensions and not ignite them. Her family deserves better. We all deserve better. And we must demand better from leadership so this does not happen again. Be safe. Thank you.